Good morning. My name's Tommy. I served 15 years as a guest of the state. Okay. During that 15 years, Deacon Light, who was our chaplain at the time, got me going back to the Catholic Church. They started then about the same time the retreat started. The Brothers of St. Dismas were formed, and I was one of the first brothers of the St. Dismas. There's over 4,000 of us right now in the fraternity. Many of them still incarcerated. In 2007, I was scheduled to get out. That was my whole 15. 2006, our Brothers of St. Dismas group were discussing how we could help each other when we got out. Not who can help us, but how we can help each other. And a bunch of us sat down and we came up with the plan of action for the Kolbe house. And we wrote all the rules, what we would be willing to do when we got out. Okay, this is coming from guys that are inside. What were they willing to do when they got out? And to this day, Kolbe House is run almost 99.9% according to that plan of action. There's been little changes, but not much. In 2007, when I got out, I started harassing Father Ron almost immediately. Deacon Elvin knows it. And for years, once or twice a year, I'd call Father Ron and say, hey, we need a halfway house. I'm standing here. I'm willing to dedicate my life to it. We got to do it. Yeah. Well, since then I've learned that's called vaporware, when you have an idea, but you don't have anything back here to put it together. It's called vaporware. Okay? So I kept going to Father Ron with vaporware. And I started contact with Deacon Tommy Ewan, and he invited me to one of the Kolbe conferences. And I got here late, and there was only maybe about 8 of us there. That was 2016 or 17, I'm not sure. 2016. And I produced my vaporware to the board. And they were very nice. None of them said, hey, you got vaporware. And so in my heart, I was going to do this. This is what the Lord wanted, and I was going to do it. I was doing my free world jobs and stuff, and I was going to flip a house in 2018 with a couple, and they called me the morning we were supposed to sign the paperwork to purchase the house. I was going to do all the renewed construction, and we were going to flip it. And I had basically worked myself out of a job up to that point, waiting for that. They said, we're not going to do that. And my heart fell. And they got a little bit of their emotion out of it, and I said, what we're going to do is we're going to buy the house. And then I felt a little bit more. You know, they just cut me out. I said, but that's going to be your first halfway house. Not only that, we're going to pay for the materials, and we're going to pay you for 20 hours a week if you put 20 hours in out of your own, so half wages. And that's where it came from. The house had been a drug house in a nice neighborhood for years. It's got paint on it still from the gang signs that was on it, and we left some of them to remind us what the house was. It had been raided. They had broke out almost every window, every door. And what we did was went in, we stripped the house inside, re-electrical, all new plumbing, most new windows, and got the house halfway ready to go. Had it half finished. The back half I hadn't even started working on. Got Father Ron out there. Deacon came out, and I said, okay, now it's not vaporware. I didn't know the word vaporware at the time, but that's, same thing. And Father Ron said, well, we ain't got no way to support you. I said, Father, I don't want your support. I want your blessings. We're moving forward. And Father Ron's been there with me ever since then. So that's where the house actually began. Since then, we built a 20 by 40 chapel in the backyard. You can't see it very good. All built by the hands of the gentleman and me. Steeple was donated by the Knights of Columbus. We have Mass in there at least once a week. We also use it for a great room and other retreats, for men's retreats and stuff. But that's basically how we got started and where we're at today. But we need your help. I know. Cover the wallet. I'm not asking for your money today. We need you to let every Catholic inmate know that there's a Catholic halfway house waiting for them. We have the information over here. Please sign up so we can send you newsletters and such. We got to get the information to them. 99% of the Catholics inside don't even know there's a Catholic halfway house in the state of Texas. Now there is, I'd say, a house. They're kind of mixed, Catholic and other Christians. But we are Catholic based and it's all Catholic programming. We do take in non-Catholics if they are interested in converting. But it takes a letter from you, from a volunteer, before we will seriously look at them. If they're not living it inside, they're not going to live it outside. We do not take SOs. For those that don't know what an SO is, it's a sex offender. Because we are in a neighborhood with families. The neighborhood loves us. That's there, around us. We have one complainant, and they were complaining way in the beginning before we even got open or approved. And it happened that I found out later that they was purchasing from, when we took the house, the dealer couldn't move back in, and it was their dealer. Okay, so so they still not real happy with us, but let's see. Now, again with the SOs, let's call them registrants. They have to register. Let's take the shock to society and call them registrant, because they have to register when they get out. In our near future, it says Kolbe House, but this is a half a block from Kolbe House, and it should say Dismas House, but our artist's conception was wrong. Eventually, we plan on doing a 8-man house and a full-scale training center there. We have several other ministries in the area that want to work with us in the training area. We'll be doing CNC and welding in there. And they're offering us instructors if we can get it set up and ready to go. and where they can send their clients in too. Kolbe House, by the way, if we have 6 men in Kolbe House, it's self-sufficient. It'll take care of itself. That's why I need people. When COVID shut down, we were doing good until COVID shut us down. They wasn't letting anybody out. Now I can't get people that are qualified to come in. So anyways, so a halfway house can pay for itself if the people that have it open ain't looking to get rich. We have 1 employee who is part-time, and it was only for a few months. Everybody else is volunteer. Now for SOs. It's hard to see up here. We have 10 acres that have been dedicated to us outside of Huntsville. We're going to start with the single wide on it. Hopefully, I mean, not a single wide, but a double wide or a modular home, something we can get inexpensively and get it set up. It might take a year and a half because we got to get electrical and water and everything else out there. This will be unrestricted, meaning registrants can also come to it. It'll have phases. They'll come in their initial period where they'll get jobs and stuff. We're going to, our vaporware is to build many homes for them so they can have some dignity and pride. Here's a picture of a mini home, just as an example, small, anywhere from 250 to 400 square foot living areas, but separate where they have their own self-pride and place to live. Then the third phase will be a religious community in the back. We don't know where that'll go. I mean, let's just call it a religious community. It'll be people that are dedicating their lives to the Lord. I don't see monks and priests coming out of it, but I know that we have had one brother of St. Dismas that got out and did go to seminary and almost became a priest. Something happened in his life and he did ended up committing suicide. It's a lot of pressure, but so we know it can happen with God's help. But in the meantime, for that year and a half, while we're waiting, we still have the biggest need to get someplace for the SOs that have really dedicated themselves to the Lord. And believe me, they are really dedicating themselves. They got nothing else. They're true. They got nothing else. Most of them have no family that'll talk to them, or even alive. They've been down so long. So we're trying to get one open by December. Up in Huntsville, it'll just be a single a house, hopefully for 8 men. We have a plant that's willing to work them. They have 41 openings right now. They'll take every one. So, you know, they're coming out, they're going straight into employment. And they'll be doing like we did on our property where we built the chapel. They'll be building their own mini homes. Okay? That's where we're headed. Lord willing. The vaporware, like Kolbe House, hopefully by December, that's a done deal. And within a year, the vaporware on Kolbe Village will be full blown. And I'm going to give it back to Deacon.
Well, just a couple other things. That the chapel that the men themselves built is called the Chapel of Divine Mercy, and it is the first sacrament. It's supposed to be a house of healing. The first sacrament that we celebrated in the Chapel of Divine Mercy wasn't Mass. It was confession. All the men went on confession. All the free worlders went and celebrated confession as well. And that's what it's been always since then. We have a beautiful altar in there. We have drawings of Father Maximilian Kolbe and of Padre Pio that were drawn by men or a man in the house, that lived in the house. But I just wanted to, let's see. This right here, I don't know if you can see it. But the house does silk screen shirts, so we donate the shirts. And then the house silk screens them, and they go to like March for Life. Like these ladies are wearing the results of that effort. These people here, this is an interesting story, where the guys themselves, we have what's called a digital resale shop. So we collect furniture, good quality furniture that's being donated to us, and we put it in storage, and then when we can either sell it, or we can, in garage sales, or we can sell it on the social media, or we can give it to people like these. These folks here were in a house. There's 7 little kids like this, and they were week before Christmas, last Christmas, they were burned out of their house, and so they ended up, the dad works at a salvage yard and is a mechanic that puts cars together from the salvage cars. They were living in the cars. These little kids, in the middle of winter, were living in the cars, We found out about them, and they got this warehouse. They kind of converted this warehouse into an apartment, but they had nothing. 2 weeks before Christmas, or a week before Christmas, nothing. Tree gone, everything gone. There's nothing for them. So we brought some furniture over to them, and 2 of the volunteers were so moved by what was going on here. Well, they went and they got some Subway sandwiches, and that's what this little girl's munching on, a cutie. But then they went back to Walmart and bought bicycles and presents and a big Christmas tree for this house. That's what it's all about. A week, 2 weeks before Christmas, they had the best Christmas, but Tommy and I and the others that saw it, we had the best Christmas too. So this is here is loading out. We had a group come in, 50 people. They were called the Missionaries, Legionnaires of Christ. They came in and loaded bags up, over 400 bags that we could give out on Holy Saturday. So just the idea there is, we have the retreat program, Brother St. Dismas, but really anyone can come to the house. And here's the form. This is a packet that gives an overview, but also fills out the application and the application process that men inside can fill out when they're getting close. They can fill out and start sending them to the address, where'd Tommy go? They would end up with Tommy, and we'll review them, and then they get approved. But they have to be walking their faith, living their faith in order to do that. So anyhow, thank you all. Thank you.